been a lopsided week. It's been pretty much my Nick Sirianni and his Britney Spears era, but
Mhm.
that has
Up
now
is down,
turned.
heads is tails.
Yeah, that has definitely turned around. And, I do want to hear from Sam because he finally got a W here, but we're going to save you for last, bud, because you know what? We don't give you your moment to shine. So I'm going to rip my band-aid off first, and
Yep,
then
go
Vince,
for
I'll
it.
let you go up here second. So, the Commanders or the Commies knock out Jalen Hurts in the first round, so TKO on that one. And we had a backup quarterback who, honestly, he didn't look terrible. Granted, he threw that one pick in the game, and it was
Yeah.
a pretty savvy defensive play. It was a decoy kind of play, and he
Mhm.
put an interception into it. So I'm not particularly mad at the whole situation here, but again, you had multiple chances to win this game, and I would argue that the Eagles shot themselves in the foot a lot with some penalties. CJ
Mhm.
Johnson gets ejected from the game. Um, he's taunting players and somehow gets his helmet ripped off, and he gets the penalty. So I don't know what he said, but it had to be something pretty damn good for him to get the penalty when his face mask got ripped off. But all in all, look, Kenny Pickett is not going to be our quarterback of the future. This is not a Carson Wentz and Nick Foles situation. Please do not believe that in any instance of what you may read online. But Kenny Pickett did a justifiable job that I would argue that I'm not mad at what he did, at what he produced. I mean, he
Mhm.
threw, slinging the ball around when everyone thought he was just going to hand the ball off to one of the best running backs in the league. He got a touchdown with AJ Brown. Looked to be he had a good connection with AJ Brown. Smithy catches that ball, the game's over. They salt the game away and the Eagles win. So
Yeah.
in the break,
Also, if he catches that ball, your fantasy game's over even earlier, but that's another story.
but you know what? It is what it is. You just got to win one more in the division. I've pretty much conceded the number one seed a long time ago. I mean, I think Detroit's probably going to end up with that, and then I'm okay with that. But
Yeah.
that being said, with the Commies winning, it did eliminate the Dallas Cowboys, and it also eliminated the 49ers,
They
who
did. Yep.
also lost this week, 17-29. Vince, what happened, man?
So what had happened was well, for starters, Debo actually showed up, so that was nice. Good for you, Debo. That being said, it's just like I was watching the game, but I was also just kind of mentally zoning out, if I'm being honest, because it didn't matter even before the first snap. And then like Brock Purdy threw like a pretty bad interception a little bit like later in the game. That one was not good. I did have like a couple of other like, nitpicky things here and there, but they Trent Williams is out for the rest of the year, by the way. That news broke earlier today. His replacement got injured. So we were on our third string left tackle in the middle of that game. So like, I mean, God, you just a season of calamity. Just we just kept being the coyote, and the Roadrunner just kept hitting us like with the injury bug. Man, I don't know, man. It's just everything fell apart, and it fell apart again. I think about like Ricky Pearsall not lining up properly
and getting chewed out for it too.
And he got ripped to shreds for it too, like because that's points off the board. And then fucking the kicker Jake Moody missing that chip shot field goal. I think it's going to be an open competition at kicker next year. I mean, there's no point in replacing him this year. I mean, if he keeps missing him, we're going to keep losing, right?
And I'm trying out.
That helps, I'm going to start stretching my legs, make sure my hamstring's in good shape. I know I can make a 30 when I'm good and stretched out. Yeah. I know I can make a 30-yarder. So, it's just way too many offensive line injuries specifically. My dad in the comments said, and it's just everything. I don't want to blame it solely on injuries. Like this is like Debo scoring that touchdown. That was the first touchdown he scored since week 6 and only his second of the year. So it's just been a really shitty year for him overall. Ricky Pearsall hasn't showed up really at all. I talked about that a few weeks ago. He's got 2 more games to show up. Otherwise, I'm heading into next season with a with the panic alarm for the bust.
Where do you start, Vince? I mean, because Trent Williams has taken a lot of money.
Yeah.
Ayuk is probably, we'll say he's ready by game one of next season, but he's also taken a lot of money.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall is questionable at wide receiver. Deeble's probably going to be shipped off. That's why he's playing so well right now, because he's trying to raise his stock value. I mean, defensively, offensively, the line, where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, of all the priorities, obviously Brock is going to get signed. I think, okay, I'm going to get a little tinfoily hat. I think Brock knows that what they need is a little bit more flexibility with the money. So he's playing bad on purpose, just to so that way when the Niners pay him, they only have to pay him like 45 instead of 55 million, so then they can pay Dre Greenlaw too. There we go. That's how I'm going to spin this. That's how I'm going to emotionally handle what's happening. Okay.
I like that,
but extremely irrational.
It's not happening.
If I'm going to be irrational and whatever,
if you're going to wear the tin foil, you might as well go for it.
Exactly. Right. It's complete nonsense what I said. And I don't actually believe that for a second.
But I mean, realistically, you got the draft, right?
Yeah.
Where are the 49ers picking? Probably what? Middle of the pack?
They're probably going to, they already have 6 wins. They're a not so nice 6-9.
Yeah,
right now on the season. So yeah, I mean, you figure they're probably going to be low teens.
Yeah.
So I don't know, 11 or 12, something like that.
So
if they lose out, maybe they get up to 9 or something. I don't know where exactly they are in the order.
Your dad answered my question here before I can even get to it. Are you adjusting the line first? Are you adjusting wide receiver?
I want the line first. Fix the lines.
Which one you got the first round pick? Are you going offensive or defensive?
Depending on what's available, probably going O-line though.
It depends.
I would go.
It all depends on how the draft board falls.
Sure,
but all things being equal, yeah, I'm going O-line. You protect the quarterback, you can make up for a lot of other sins that way. So
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean that's honestly the name of the game. Protect your quarterback and attack their quarterback. So, but protecting your quarterback is first and foremost the most important thing. So I mean that's like Sam said, all things being equal. Offensive line is the first priority. Defensive line is the second priority. Sit Drake down for the rest of the year. Yeah, he's this is 2 straight games coming back from this Achilles. He's hurt himself in different ways. So I think it's not the end of the world if Dre Greenlaw gets shut down for the rest of the year, but he proved the point that he is back and he did look really good when he was playing. So in both of these games. So. But now that it doesn't matter anymore, I think we can safely shut down any of the guys that are injured and trying to make their way back. They don't have to come back. We don't need to see Trent anymore.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think it's time to rest the players, save the assets of the money you put into it, and shoot for next season. So I'm with you on that one. Speaking of draft positions here. The Raiders have decided to win another game here, so that has as he put on his Raiders hat.
Is that a camo hat?
What was that?
He has decided to put on his camo hat here. The Raiders have
this is Hawaiian flowers, baby.
Okay. So the Raiders have decided to win a game, which has angered some Raiders fans, but it doesn't seem that it's angered you, Sam. So what's your take?
No, I mean, obviously you want to have a top pick. If you're going to be this bad, you want to have the number 1 pick, of course. But to me, it's always a conflict of interest when you have professionals that are competing for their jobs to stay in the NFL. And I could go into all the statistics of how horrible the Raiders have drafted historically over the past 10, 15 years. A lot of their draft picks aren't in the league, right? So you have a lot of top round talent that's not even in the league anymore. So for me to have these guys you know what? Let's throw in the towel and get our number 1 overall pick. They may not be in the league, because if I know that, other NFL teams know that, other front offices know that the Raiders haven't drafted well. Now, in the Raiders' defense, this past draft class actually looks really good. Brock Bowers, As soon as he was drafted, I was one of the few Raider fans that was like, "This is amazing."
He broke 1,000 yards last week, right?
He went over 1,000 yards. Next week, he's probably going to get Puka Nakua's most receptions by a rookie. He's probably going to surpass Mike Ditka all-time yards as a tight end, a rookie tight end. So there's a lot of historical things that are in reach for this season for the young man. But they also hit on Jackson Powers-Booth, who has taken over the starting center job, and the offensive line has played actually pretty competent, above average. You know, the offensive line is actually playing pretty well since Jackson Powers-Booth took over the center. And then they also, their 3rd round pick, DJ Glaze, is now starting at on the right side. I believe it's right tackle, and he's looking really good. So your first 3 picks last year are all contributing, all starters now. And you got a bunch of guys that are in the later rounds. Maybe they're not starters right now, but they're contributing. They're flying around the ball. They had a lot of guys the other day in their win make a lot of big plays. And that's great to see, is that young players are stepping up. They're still trying to win games because they're fighting for their NFL life. They're not a part of their front office. So I was glad that the Raiders won, because they're a 2-win team and now they're a 3-win team. I want to win. The hell with the draft. I deal with that when I get there. You know, Antonio Pierce is still fighting to be the head coach of this team. Every single player is fighting to be on this team. And if you're a coach, if you're a young coach like, Norv Turner's kid, you're competing. If you're not going to be the Raiders offensive coordinator, because you may have a shot to win the full-time job, you're competing for another offensive coordinator. We're hearing that Bill Belichick over there in college is calling to see if Turner wants to go over there and be his offensive coordinator. So the dude is being recruited. I think this was a great win. I love that they won. I woke up this morning feeling a little good. I looked at the draft position. They fall to the number 5 pick, but you know what? To me, they're more than just a quarterback away. This roster, there's so many pieces that this roster needs. And frankly, I agree with a lot of the big talking heads. I don't typically agree with them, but I don't think this draft class for the quarterback is really all that great. I think if you had the quarterbacks from last year in this draft, Shedeur Sanders and even Cam Ward, who I've been really high on, if I'm going to take a 1st-round quarterback, I'm taking Cam Ward. Even those guys, they're probably behind Penix and Bo Nix. They're competing with the Penix and the Bo Nix, which means they're in the teens. But because you're desperate, because they're the top quarterbacks of this class, they're going top 5.
I would argue that Bo Nix has been absolutely surprising, given what everyone thought. And
here's my argument to that is the amount of starts that he has in college. He should be this good. However, I think this is kind of the plateau. I don't see the growth going much higher. I don't see him being an MVP type of dude. I don't see Bo Nix getting better. I think this is kind of it. He's just going to be kind of mid.
I think there's tiers, right? Obviously, I hate to say it, but Patrick Mahomes is the top of the tier list
for sure.
And then you got your Josh Allens, you got your Lamar Jacksons. I'll even throw my quarterback Jalen Hurts in there, and then I think you got this, what I call regular season champs, right? And Vince, I can't put in there yet. I'm sorry, but the Kirk Cousins of the world, the
Kirk Cousins from this year.
No, of course. But I'm saying a regular season champ. I think Bo Nix is going to be mid. Yeah, I think Bo Nix is going to be like that. Like the Geno Smiths, the Kirk Cousins, the Baker Mayfield, where they look amazing, but I don't think they're going to be the guys.
So who's the top 3 quarterbacks in the league right now? Patrick Mahomes,
Josh Allen, and then
probably Lamar. Yeah,
I'd say those
Lamar
are
Jackson.
top 3, and I'd say Jalen is probably about maybe 4 or 5.
I agree. And then who's 5?
I'd say 5 right now is probably going to be if he gets right. I mean, it's a toss up. It's why is there balloons in your background?
I
I'd
have
say
no idea.
the toss up for me would be like either why am I drawing blank his name? The kid in for the Texans.
Oh
I'd
yeah,
say
CJ Stroud.
I don't think Stroud's up there.
I'm saying
I
after
put him in the top 10.
Yeah, I put him in the top 10. I'd say Stroud. I'd say
Borderline.
Purdy. I
He's
would
regressed
say
a little bit. Yeah, I think.
But I guess the point that
yeah.
I'm trying to make, the top 3 picks, 5 picks, and then after that is a mess.
Yeah.
It's anybody in a bar can make the argument for their favorite top 10.
Right.
Top 5 is almost like
Joe Burrow, maybe something
Right.
like that. Someone like that. Yeah.
But
I mean,
he's playing his mind out right now. But the drop off of a upper tier quarterback,
yeah,
to the rest is so drastic that I don't see it in this draft class, which sucks for the Raiders. So like for me, I got the win, and I don't see a player that a team is willing to come up and get the number 1. You're not going to get a ransom. So if you're the Raiders, you end up with the number 1 overall pick. Is there anybody willing to give you multiple first rounds to move up to the number 1 spot to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? I don't think you're going to get what the 49ers paid to move up to get Trey Lance. You're not getting that for this draft class.
Absolutely not.
I don't think if a team is willing to do it, if you're the Raiders, you take that deal.
Sure.
The 49ers gave up what?
A couple of firsts and a couple of seconds, I believe.
Right. For
I'd have
what?
to look it up.
The number 3, the number 4
to get up to number 3. Yeah.
I don't think they could get that with this quarterback class. So I'm glad they won. I'm not really tripping off of them falling in the draft, because they're so much more than a quarterback away. I know we want to get the quarterback, take the best player available right now, because I don't know, maybe Brock Purdy's not a 49er.
Well, no, he still is going to be a Niner next year anyway.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, he's still under contract no matter what for next year. It's the year after when the question mark hits. So yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some quarterbacks that I think are gonna, not be in their team next year. I mean, there's a good chance that Sam Darnold's not even gonna be on that team anymore. Not that the Raiders should go for him, but just there's some quarterbacks to be had if you don't get the ones in the draft that I think might be serviceable for you until you find the one that you're looking for, in my opinion.